Hello, everyone. Thank you very much again for joining us in one more episode of Todos Santos. As you already know, this is a podcast that will originate with the idea of bring back the stories of those people who has been choosing Todos Santos as a home. And today we are very happy that finally, we have this interview with Rex Weiner. Did I say that? Okay.
Yes, Rex Weiner is perfect.
Rex Weiner. He is a very interesting person who, like other many people that choose to be in Todos Santos, bring a little bit back to the community with inspiration, with his creativity. And today we're gonna talk about your story, a little bit about Todos Santos and the Writers' Workshop. He's a long-time resident, like I said, so let's start by introducing yourself. Please let us know, for those who don't know yet, right, who you are and how writing became a part of your life.
Well, thank you very much for including me in your series.
Of course.
And I'm happy to be here in Todos Santos full-time. The first time I arrived here, I had no idea that I would be here still, almost 40 years later. It was 1981, and I had just arrived in Hollywood from New York to write a movie based on some stories I'd written about a detective who worked in the music business. And his name was Ford Fairlane.
That was 1990?
1981.
81, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1981.
And I had written the stories years earlier, but Hollywood called. And so, but immediately I met a young writer, a novelist, who was also from the East Coast. And he was in Hollywood to sell the rights to make a movie about his first novel. And his name is Gordon Chaplin.
Okay.
And he said to me, I'm living in Mexico. I'm living in the president's house. Come on down anytime. And I said, well, I'll call you.
In the president's house of Mexico, the president of
Mexico.
the country.
Of
Really?
the country.
Oh, wow.
That's what he said. And I said, that's weird, but why not? I said, I'll call you. And he says, no, you can't call. There are no telephones. You can only send a telegram. So I filed that thought away. The name was Todos Santos or something like that. And I'd never been to Mexico. And I got into a little trouble in Hollywood. And my agent said to me, go somewhere where no one can reach you and I'll handle this problem. Where no one can call you. And I thought, oh, there's a place I heard of where no one could call. And so I rented a brand new Camaro in Beverly Hills and headed to Mexico. I thought it was, 3 hours away, right, from Los Angeles to the border.
Yeah.
But when I got there, I looked at the map, and Todos Santos was 1,000 miles. But I couldn't turn back. And so I headed down to Todos Santos for the first time in the winter of 1981. And that was my first time here.
And once you were here, what was your first thoughts about this place?
Well, I sent a telegram to my agent. I said, can I come back, please? No, stay. A little dirt road town. Nobody spoke English. There were only a few English speakers here, and the rest was a town that had experienced an economic boom during the sugar industry and a bust. And many of the younger people and people who needed to work had left for La Paz or the mainland. So the town was kind of empty.
In the 80s.
In the 80s, and so it was agricultural and fishing, and there were only 2 restaurants in town and no hotels, and I loved it. I thought it was pretty amazing.
Did you come here by yourself, with your family?
Well, I came here, I was single at the time, and I came here pretty much by myself. And I stayed in a bed and breakfast that called itself the Todos Santos Inn.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a lady from Petaluma, California, and her 2 teenage daughters. And that's where I stayed. I looked at the guest book. Oh my God, John Kennedy Jr. stayed here, you know, and
Really?
a lot of people had come through town,
Wow.
adventurous people, but there were also the surfers. This was a secret spot for surfers from Southern California. A lot of the top surfers from Encinitas and Cardiff and the South Bay towns had discovered this place, and they kept it quiet. And a few of them started to live here, but on and off. Yeah.
Did you continue your work as a writer when you get here? What inspired you to be in this small town and continue that inspiration?
Well, for a while, I was renting a place in El Rinconcito. And one day I walked around the corner of the road, and there was this big building, 2 stories, red brick, Gothic windows. And I found out that the locals called it Casa Dracula.
Oh, Casa Dracula.
So I found out who owned it. And we
Yes.
contacted them, and Gordon Chaplin and his girlfriend and me and my girlfriend at the time, we rented it. And then over the years, we bought it. We were all writers or filmmakers. But at the time, I was writing for TV and movies. I was writing for Miami Vice.
Oh, cool. I remember that one.
Yes, Crockett and
Yes,
Tubbs.
yes.
And a lot of the writing I did for Hollywood was done in the Casa Dracula. Upstairs in the corner room was my room.
Just give me a second. For those who doesn't know, Casa Dracula is a very iconic building here in Todos Santos, where used to be owned by one of the most influenced families, right, in Todos Santos. And until today, 2025, the building is still pretty much the same, right?
Yes.
It's a very special because when you drive by there, you can feel how, I mean, I can close my eyes and I can imagine how the surroundings were in that time. You know, it's a building from 1800s, I believe, right?
Yes, it was built in 1852 by the Dominguez family, and they were
That's
the
right.
owners of at least one, probably 2 of the trapiche, the sugar mills.
Yeah.
And Antonio C. Dominguez was the Don Chale, you know. He was the powerful guy in town, and he had 2 cast iron safes in the house, one upstairs and one downstairs.
Wow.
And the one downstairs is still there, but the one upstairs disappeared one mysterious night. And there are many legends and myths about Casa Dracula,
Right.
that it's haunted, and there are duendes and all kinds of
Right.
things there. But when that safe disappeared, the neighbors all started to whisper, Don Chale, from the grave he reached back to get his caja fuerte and put his dinero in there.
It was you who mentioned to me that when he used to go out, in elderly years, he take money or coins and bury it somewhere in the desert. And people used to, oh, there goes Don Chale. And people follow him to see where he buried the money and disappear.
Yes, well, people also say that was a trick because the money was really buried in the casa. And when we
Oh.
purchased the home, there
Just
were
got too
holes
big.
all over the jardín.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where
Already?
people had come to, you know.
Is that right?
Yes. And so we never found the centenarios, but
Anything.
it was.
Dang.
We used to say, oh, for us, the real treasure, el tesoro, is
La
la
arquitectura.
amistad del pueblo. And then, of course, our neighbors would go, pinche, la amistad, where's the money? But we enjoyed our time there. And since we were all writers, we decided to share what we knew with others. And so we created the Todos Santos Writers Workshop.
Right.
We did a small experimental workshop in 2013, and but 2014 is when we really
But how the
began.
idea came out about let's let's do this workshop, invite people from other places to this little town. How that developed?
Well, well, first of all, my co-founder and co-director, Jen McCulloch, is the person who has actually been to a writing workshop. My friend Gordon Chaplin, my partner in the house, had never been to one. He'd already written a novel. He'd been a journalist. He had been in Vietnam reporting for the Washington
Oh,
Post.
wow.
And, you know, I'd had a lifetime as a journalist, and I'd written this crazy stories about a rock and roll detective, and the movies bought it. And so, and when I met Jeanne, she was the former managing editor of the literary magazine known as the Paris Review.
Okay.
And so when I met her, we I told her about this magical place, this Pueblo Mágico, and somehow the two of us came up with the idea of, well, let's do a workshop, because these writing workshops are very popular around the world. You can go to just about any city and find one, but there wasn't one here. And this is supposed to be an artist's town,
Right.
but the writers weren't represented.
Right.
So that's what motivated us to start the Todos Santos Writers Workshop.
With the idea to get people from other countries or other places, or with the idea of having locals here that wants to participate?
Well, first we wanted to attract people from anywhere who wanted to learn something about writing and different genres: poetry, memoir, and nonfiction. And so the idea was to attract people here. And also at that time, you know, the economy of Todos Santos wasn't as as energetic as it is now. And so we thought, well, this will also help the town. They'll spend
Right.
money, they'll go buy tacos here and there.
Yeah, right.
There weren't that many restaurants really 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, and we knew Jenny and at the Hotelito,
Right.
and thought, oh, some people could stay there. And so that was the idea, and to have some fun, frankly, and you don't know what you do until you try to teach somebody else how to do what you do. And so that's the motivation.
So you mentioned that it's the 13th year that you've been doing this workshop. And it's coming on, right, in January?
Well, yes. The 2026 winter session here in Todos Santos starts January 31st, and goes to February 7th. So for that first week in February, we'll be doing the workshop. Since we no longer own the Casa Dracula, where the workshop began in the garden, we do it at the Posada del Molino, which is on the grounds of an old sugar
Right.
mill. So it's connected that way. We have about 25, 30 people coming, including the faculty. And we also, for the past few years, have been including local poets and writers. So on our fiesta night at the end of the week, we have writers like Marcela Magdaleno
Uh-huh.
reading from
heard about
her
her.
new book
Yes.
and her poetry. Anastasio Arundas, who's a great poet himself, a local guy. He reads, and in Espanol, because even if you don't know Spanish, if you listen to the rhythms, especially of poetry, you gain some understanding of how words get put together. It's all about the language.
Poetry, I'm sorry, it's been always hard for me. What you can advise to somebody who probably feel that little spark to maybe I should write this, you know?
Well, the class that I do, Adila, is the it's called Strategies in Storytelling, and it's how to start something new, or how to pick up something that you put away and start that going again. So the first thing I say is you have to sit down and write.
Just don't get it.
No,
don't
but
get
there's
lazy. Don't be
but there's a
lazy.
plan, and I offer a kind of step-by-step plan. And the first thing is the end, the deadline. Imagine how happy you'll be once you finish this thing, whatever it is, whether it's 2 pages or 200 pages.
Right.
And then there's a beginning and a middle and an end, and you just try a beginning. I woke up one day and got out of bed and made breakfast. That's good. You're on your way.
So that is what you teach at these workshops.
That's what I
basically.
teach. That's my class. And
Okay.
everybody else has a different method. Christopher Merrill, who is the director of the International Writing Program at the University of Iowa, teaches the poetry class. This will be his 9th year with us. And he, President Obama used to send him to war zones to do workshops, poetry workshops, because this is a way to express what's going on with you. And you just start by observing the natural environment, and whatever strikes you. There's a bird, there's a palm tree.
Let me share this with you. I just happened to, I was looking at Netflix, what to watch with dinner, right? And we ran into this documentary about Andrea Gibbons. I don't know if you noticed this is on Netflix, and it's a poetry artist. Writer. She writes poetry.
The name again?
Andrea Gibbons.
I don't know.
Gibbons. Okay, so she has cancer. She have her partner, and she goes through so many emotions, and she puts it so beautiful and paper, and not only that, she goes to a stage. She was very, very popular, and recite what she writes. And that was one of the things that I say, how people, and this is my next question for you, they say that the best writers come when it's a big emotion going on, or when it's something that breaks inside of you, is when the inspiration comes. How you define where to find inspiration to write, either poetry or either a novel or?
Well, the idea starts somewhere, and sometimes it's just a phrase or a piece of music. But the truth is that the best writing comes from small emotions, not the biggest explosion. And it's what we call craft. It's the technique of just, say a line is going to be so many beats, or a haiku, which is 7 lines. You start within a structure. At least for me, that's the key to it, to getting the reins on this wild thing called.
So this workshop, in your opinion, is for beginners, people who already write, or how the workshop will help? Which kind of people will help, or writers?
We are for writers at all levels, beginners, people in mid-career, people who have had a long career and now want to try something different, people who have been published. And this is where you can try something new or pick up where you left off. We are looking for people who want to spend a week in Todos Santos with all of this new scenery, this new place, taking them out of their safety zone and trying something a little different.
Adventures.
It's an adventure, absolutely.
So you think Todos Santos has what it takes to, like you said, away from all the noise and the lives of each one, come to this place which is still pretty much quiet, still we're growing a lot, and have this opportunity to be inspired with the nature, with the desert?
Well, yes. I mean, a walk on the beach at La Cachora, and you see whales jumping around out in the
Right.
sea, or an evening when they released the little turtles, or just walking past the cultural center and seeing the murals inside of that were done in 1933, 1936, when Mexico was in turmoil, and you get a feeling for the past as well as you're inspired by the beauty of the present. And those between those two emotions, the past and the experience of the present, that's where you can draw your inspiration.
Do you have any, in all these years of doing this workshop, have anybody who took this workshop as a, like at the beginning of a good novel, of a good writing poem or something that was a takeoff to a
Well,
different level?
many of our students or attendees have gone off and done amazing things, and I can't cite any one particular one, but we have people who return to the workshop each year
Uh-huh.
to either start something new or to continue something that they've been working on. And so we're very proud of the work that they do. At the end of the week, we have a final dinner and an open mic, and people volunteer
Share
to
what they
read what
write.
they, and it's always inspiring. There are tears, laughter, high emotions at that, and that's one of my favorite parts of the week, the Todos Santos Writers Workshop Week. We also have a fiesta night where we serve, regional food, and for the past few years, we've been very entertained and honored to have Los Hijos del Trópico
Oh yeah,
play for the,
I know the group. It's a
and
very good.
and they'll be
They
playing this
put a
year.
very good ambiance on the
Yeah, so in a way, they're
fun.
storytellers, the way they
Yes,
present
sing.
the,
Yeah,
the music, and
especially the singer.
Jorge and
Jorge. Jorge is,
Leslie
and
Nelmana.
Leslie.
She's
I
got an
love the way
amazing.
she moves
Oh,
and the in the scenario. She's just
it's a
a lot of passion.
Oh, Pasión
Sí.
is that's one of my favorite. And you've not seen anything until you've seen a group of writers out on the dance floor, all dance bailando, and getting
Yeah,
into
having
it,
fun.
having a good time,
Yeah.
and so
So I have to confess that since I was little, I was trying to. I was very good in the school, by the way. I have always winning the contest for ortografía,
yeah.
My sister and I always competing for this, because we very close for the first place and everything. And I always I used to write, I used to write things, and because I love it. I love the words and everything, obviously in Spanish. And when I was a teen, I started the journal, a journal, but I never ever stick with it. I kind of try to open it and read about it, but I go on and on and on about one subject specific, and I like, oh, this is crap.
Well, three pages,
Yeah,
and just take
true.
that one thing. And
That was my next question for you, because what advice you can give to somebody who wants to pick up the writing?
bite off a short
something
piece.
But write something small.
Small bites, yes.
Okay.
And soon, if you get in the habit of doing those, do one. Okay, now do two, three, and the next thing you know, you have a book. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the way you do it.
Why not?
So,
What excites you more about this workshop? What is the highlight for you doing this?
I love the people who come with stories that are unique, that we say everybody has a story, and people have lived, lives, professional lives, and they've done things professionally and had achievements. But it's the smaller moments, the things in the story in their life that really matters most, that reveals them. And once they are able to do that and they see it, that's the moment that excites me, when people discover that the story that they've always wanted to tell, but never quite achieved the focus. And now with us, they can do that.
I had to share this also with you. Trevor got his grandpa military chess. His grandpa was a pilot in the World War One,
Ah,
and
one or two?
I think two
Okay.
or both. I don't know.
Okay.
Everything is there.
Wow.
His uniform, his hat, everything, and a bunch of letters that
Ah,
he wrote to his daughter. John's, my husband's mother, was the only child, and she was very young when he has to depart, deploy to war. So she was a teenager, like 14, 15 years old, and wrote these letters to her. When my mother-in-law passed, where of this chest, and Trevor says, "Yeah, I want it." He have it, and he says, "Mom, I went through to a few letters, and the story that he tells, it's just a treasure because how he see the world in that time, and you reading that in this 2025, it's like it's like a transport you
I would
to
love
that.
to see those stories.
Talk
They're
to
very
Trevor.
valuable.
Talk to
The
Trevor.
experiences of that time. My father was a flyer too, a navigator,
Oh, navigator.
and born in Brooklyn, and he'd never been anywhere. And then suddenly he's in Italy, flying over, dropping bombs on the
Yeah.
Nazis. And I wrote a story about him,
Oh,
taken from his experiences, and that story went all over the world. I would say, Trevor, who's a wonderful musician and a good friend,
oh,
and
thank
he's a
you.
terrific guy, your
Thank you.
son.
Very nice for saying.
If he has time, or somebody has time, just transcribe the letters. Just get them on a page, and then look at what you have and see where that may be enough,
Yeah,
or there may be a bigger story there.
maybe.
And
Yeah.
which military was he part of?
He was in the Air Force, but to be honest with you, I don't know.
But
My
which Air
husband knows.
Force?
That's what I'm saying. He was
U.S. or Mexico?
no U.S.
Oh, okay.
U.S. Yeah, he was from Ohio. Actually, he died in a plane at almost 90 years old, flying his plane
Oh,
in Ohio.
he continued
He
flying.
yeah, even they don't renew his license, he continued and he fly in a
So
storm.
immediately there's a story there.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
man who flew forever until he flew home.
Yeah, yeah, true.
And
So
that's great.
I just want to ask you also, what do you expect the people who assist to your workshop or to this workshop will take from it?
We hope that people will take home some new writing or some revised work of things that they've written before, and a new motivation, a new spirit to keep them writing. But in addition, they should take home with them, we hope, a sense of Todos Santos and what is magic about the Pueblo Mágico. And that magic should be in their writing.
Right. So the writers are also readers, correct? So what would be a book that you can recommend to somebody who is coming to Todos Santos and wanna sit down with a book at the beach or?
Oh, there's so many. But I think find a history of Mexico. And there are some famous ones from the times of the Aztecs and the Toltecs and the Olmecs,
Right.
to the conquest, to how the U.S. and France got into trouble here and made a mess of things, and modern history. I think that would be a good thing. But any poetry by Latin American poets, Neruda, Paz, from all of Latin America would be great. But also, I recommend listening to the music, the corridos, the story songs of of Mexico, Sonora, and here, because that's what you hear. That is a really great art form, the corridos, story songs, and that's an easy way to be introduced to the ranchero,
The culture.
style, the chollero sensibility, and anywhere you're going to hear it everywhere.
Yeah, it is true because when I travel, I always looking for something to read that related to that place. Because if I'm gonna be there, I wanna see, I wanna feel like take as much as I can and absorb the culture of it.
Well, it would be great if people watching this could send a little message saying, "Here's a great book to read. What would you recommend reading
That's
before
right.
coming to Todos
Todos
Santos,
Santos.
either the first time or if you've been here forever? What's a good book to read?"
Now, almost not taking more of your time, I just want to know where people can sign in for your workshop, where they can find you.
Well, you can find us at todossantoswritersworkshop.com, and you'll find a place where you can write to us and contact us. And we still have a few spaces left, even up to the last week or so. So please get in touch, and we'd love to have you with us.
Is any limit age or particular to be participant of this workshop?
Well, some people have been with us from their student days. We used to do an exchange program with the Palapa Society, and they would send their best students. I know one of them who's right here.
Yeah, Frida.
But no, there's no age limit
I mean,
whatsoever.
teenagers can come.
Well,
example.
You know what would be
is it
best?
adults?
We have two public events on Tuesday of that week and the Thursday where our fiction instructor, Ann Hood, will be talking about the art of fiction. And that's free, and that's at the Posada del Molino. And you'll see a listing for it in the Jornal del Pacífico.
Journal del Pacifico, sí.
And Thursday, we also have a food writer who's going to who's going to talk about what's involved in writing about food.
Food like recipes or just about in general?
Traveling around the world and tasting this and eating that,
Oh, okay. I
and
see.
the culinary arts, and
Okay.
hopefully he will find Todos Santos to be a great place to eat.
I'm sure. We are having a boom of a good food here. I mean, gourmet food. More and more people are arriving with a great knowledge of culinary, raising the bar.
Yes. Well, we're very lucky. His name is Michael Ruhlman, and he will be with us during the workshop week, and you'll probably bump into him in any of the great restaurants in Todos Santos.
Good. Just the last question.
Yes.
Just wondering, we already know how Todos Santos has been attractive all these great artists, from photographers, writers, painters, etc., musicians including. This is the town that has been inspired so many people to create. And do you think at the pace that we are growing, this can become forgotten or change the way? I mean, I'm trying with this podcast is what we're trying, to keep those people alive and to keep these activities going on. So we don't grow so much to an urban that we lost that identity and that organic way to connect with our town.
Well, Todos Santos, as we all know, faces challenges in terms of development, but there are enough people who are organized in this town to slow it down, if not reshape how the town develops, and hopefully the goal can be reached where the Todos Santos retains its artists' residences and the people who are creative here. and keeping it a pueblo mágico for artists and people who appreciate writers and painters and sculptors and ceramics people and musicians. It's the town has a really amazing creative life right now, and
Yes.
I think it will be it will continue for as long as I'm around.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Rex, for putting the effort and the time and your creativity and knowledge, and bringing those inspires people to town and inspiring souls, I would say. You
Well,
know,
well, thank you for shining a light on all of
of
this and
course,
for giving me the opportunity to talk about the Todos
of course.
Santos Writers Workshop, and I thank your team.
Yeah, Frida, thank you very much. And thank you, all of you, because you're still following us in our social media. We are growing a little by a little. And I just want to mention to you, before I forget, if you want to be a sponsor of our Todos and Todos podcast with your business or with your ideas or whatever you want, we are open, obviously, to get some donations to keep going and bring in more interesting people and keep Frida in the team because she's very good. And thank you again for joining us, and have a beautiful Feliz Navidad and Merry Christmas. Bye.